Hello, I am Max from Test Drive Blogs, and today, yes, it's true, this is going to be the final tour slash review slash video of any sort of my 1998 Ford Ranger XLT, extended cab, step side, two-wheel drive, four-cylinder, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm going to be selling it sometime soon. It's already listed on a couple places like Facebook and stuff, so I figured I'd make one last video, kind of a tour video, go old school, and have one more look at it before it's gone from my life. And of course, in the description below, I will keep it updated whether this truck is sold or not. And if you are interested in purchasing it by any means, send me an email over at testdriveblogs@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Instagram or whatever. I don't really use Facebook anymore, so I wouldn't recommend that. But anyways, on the tour. This Ranger is finished off in a gloss black exterior. With a gray cloth interior. This truck doesn't have many options, so thus the door panels are very simple. You just have a window crank, your manual lock up top, and your door handle there next to the armrest, as well as a speaker and a little door pocket underneath. On the far left of the dashboard here, you have your fuse box, headlight controls, gauge dimmer, an adjustable vent, and your turn signal sock, as well as windshield wipers, as well as a door window defrost vent right there. This Ranger has 197,290 miles on it, and it's about 54,000 more than I bought it with. It's served me pretty well over the years. And so we'll take the key, which is very simple, as well as I am also using the LS400's thing for the key ring. It's got the classic Ford lower than higher beeper. And let's go and fire it up. On this truck, you actually have to depress the clutch all the way to start it. It won't start it otherwise. And yes, it does have the misfire still, sadly. And an exhaust leak. So we'll shut the door for now and check out the rest of the interior. The steering wheel on this truck is a nice 4-spoke design. It doesn't tilt, sadly. And it does not have cruise control either. The gauges are very informative and easy to read. Fuel gauge on the left, temperature, the tachometer, speedometer, and the oil pressure and battery voltage on the right. Over in the center stack, you have a couple vents up top. You got the wire that's for the Bluetooth speaker for my radio that used to be up here, but I decided it kind of looked stupid because it was hanging down over the gauges. So I moved it into the glove box because I'm too lazy to actually take all this apart and actually remove it myself. But we have the JVC radio I installed a while ago. Simple to operate. It sounds pretty good. Sounds a lot better than the stock radio. Pretty simple to operate. Presets and all that, and USB and aux input. To the left you have a cigarette lighter, to the right you have a power outlet, fog light button, which does nothing on this because I don't have fog lights and this wasn't a truck that came with fog lights originally. Down below you have your climate control, which is simple to operate. Select where you want it, turn the fan up and down, temperature. Very, very simple. This also came out in Explorer, so that's why it looks a little bit different from the average Ranger's climate controls. And then finally, on the bottom, you have your passenger airbag off switch, which is used by the key, as I will now demonstrate actually. So basically, all you have to do, you take the ignition key, and then you turn it, and then, if I start up the truck again, you can see that the off light is illuminated because it's off. A lot of cars from the 90s had this. I was wondering why it went off there for a second. A lot of cars from the 90s had this, and a lot of newer ones are judged by a sensor in the seat, in the passenger seat, whether it should be on or off, but they didn't really have that technology back in the 90s, I guess. And then finally to the right, ashtray. Pretty simple. This truck is the 5-speed manual transmission. Lever for reverse. It's got an aftermarket shift knob on it because the original one was pretty crappy and broke a lot. And at the base of it, you have a couple of cup holders, which are kind of useful. You can actually lift them up too if you have a taller drink or something like that, which doesn't work with today's drinks very well, sadly. And of course, this truck is a 5-seater. You have a seat here in the center for anybody. I wouldn't recommend really putting anybody there unless it's like a child or something, somebody who's small. And then the glove box, which you see I took my stickers off, sadly. It's the end of an era. I have my regular car reviews at Mr. OHD and Saab Kettle 4 stickers in the back window, but I decided to take them off for selling the truck. Change storage up here. Somebody tried to fix the original lid for this very, very poorly, but luckily I found a lid that works in a junkyard, so it's not like, because the original one was held on by a bungee cord that went around the entire thing. I think it looks a lot better without the bungee cord. And then up top, of course, you have a visor, which does not have a mirror on the driver's side. It does have a warning thing though. You got a nice little thing here to put your, I guess, garage door opener or whatever on. And then finally you have a manually dimming rear mirror up top. And we'll go ahead and shut it off and check out the outside. And a random little note with this truck, it actually has a little switch, so you can't turn the key all the way off unless you hit this little switch right here and push it and then pull the key out. Okay, so like 90s cars had that, instead of like a lot of newer cars with stick shifts, you just push it in, or something else. I know some Mustangs had it underneath the steering column. A couple, like my Chrysler has one that you push down. It's definitely a strange little feature, I guess, so you can't turn the key off while driving, or if somebody else tries to turn the key off while driving and doesn't know, I don't know. It's there though. The Ford Ranger pickup was originally introduced for the 1983 model year after being a trim model for the previous Ford F-100s and F-150s, and was a replacement for the Mazda-based Ford Courier. The Ranger was produced from 1983 to 2011 with only about 3 or 4 different actual generation changes. For the most part, they stayed pretty much the same for a long, long time. As you can see from this being a 1998 Ford Ranger, it's part of the 3rd generation, and it's the first year of the 3rd generation, which was the final generation of the Ranger. Even though a lot of people will tell you that there are 4 or 5 generations, it's kind of take it as you will. At least based on the chassis, they were 3 generations. Really only 2 if you count the extended cab like I have here. Because in 1993, the Ranger was completely facelifted with a different body, more round, all that. The only thing was is that in 1998, the single cab version was redesigned to have a longer cab, but the extended cab actually stayed the same and everything. So really, this is part of the 2nd generation Ranger because it's an extended cab, if that makes any sense. It did run through quite a few facelifts, but for the most part, it stayed pretty much the same. The sheet metal, the interior, the chassis, even the engine stayed pretty much the same throughout its entire lifespan. And of course, this one is the extended cab step side, so it's not the most practical out of the Rangers, and especially because it has a 4-cylinder and is only 2-wheel drive. But the extended cab definitely helps out because I never really had any people behind the front seats, except for a few times, and for the most part, I just, put anything like my camera gear or anything I had with me back behind the front seats, because you could also have a little privacy protector to put over it so nobody could see it. You could also get the Ranger in a slew of different options, such as 4-wheel drive, the extended cab, step side, fleet side, as well as power windows and other fancier stuff like that, even though they never really came with leather or anything like the Explorer Limiteds would have. And also in 1998, the option of an extended cab with 4 doors instead of 2 doors like mine was introduced, but it was an option, so therefore mine does not have it. Passenger side is pretty simple. There's not much to mention over here. Door panels are very, very similar. Do have an airbag on the passenger side, which is a nice little feature. The glove box down below, which has a decent amount of space in it. And whatever this is, I'm still not sure what this is after 3 years of owning this truck. Actually 4 years almost. I have no clue what that is because I don't think it's a speaker. It might be a vent of some sort. I have no clue. And of course you can't actually really open the center console from the passenger side because it opens towards the driver, or like for the driver to open. And of course the seats are all manual. Which is pretty easy to pull the seat forward. Just lift up on that and the seat automatically goes up. Do have to help it up a little bit though. And you have access to the backseat area. And you can trust me when I say it's not comfy back here at all. You have these little seats that come out of the sides right underneath these speakers, and they have seat belts and whatnot. But they're not very comfortable if you have anybody in the front that's taller than about 5'2", or if you're 5'2" back here. It's a good place to put kids, I guess. Got a nice little net back there. And then the final thing is a privacy protector that you can pull out and set up like that. So when you put the seat back, you can barely see what's underneath it, so you have a little bit of privacy. And of course you have your sliding rear window and a couple of cup holders and actually tape and CD storage in the center there. And then to move the front seat back, just pull backwards on it and then set the back up. It'll always go back to a default position, so you have to actually adjust it past that. It's a little far forward, but it's pretty simple. 1998, you had three choices of engine for the Ranger. You either had the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which is what this Ranger has, a 3 liter V6, or a 4 liter V6. A 5-speed manual was standard on all three, while only the 4 liter got the 5-speed automatic as an option. The other two only had a 4-speed. The 2.5 was a continuation of the Ford Lima engine series, which was originally started in the 1970s for the Ford Pinto, and was actually the final generation of the Lima, in which it made around 115 horsepower and around 150 foot-pounds of torque. So, going through driving one more time on this thing, even with the misfire. I apologize if you also hear the my AC, aka vent air, coming in from, you know, outside at full blast. But at least it's not too hot, where I can't even do that. But yeah, this is it. So this thing is always, I feel like it's always driven pretty nice, even with the misfire. Like, it's not the smoothest, not the most comfortable vehicle by far. The seat is pretty worn down, but it's definitely not the worst vehicle I could have chosen. Really, if there's anybody coming on a road that you want to turn onto, you probably should wait for them, because this thing is not fast at all getting up to 60 with a misfire. And of course the check engine light always flashes and all that, but it's still drivable. I just drove it 150 miles out to central Missouri to pick up, or to meet my dad, which then we drove to Kansas City in his truck and got my Lexus. So it's still reliable. It still will be drivable for sure, but it definitely is something I've gotten tired of pretty much. I'm sure I'll regret doing this, but oh well. Or be sad about it. I'm probably not going to regret it really, because the Lexus is so much nicer. And I definitely want some money back after buying the Lexus. So yeah, but acceleration's pretty weak. The transmission's fine now, kind of. It's still a little tough to get into gears every now and then, after we fix the master cylinder and the slave cylinder for the clutch. But you can always find the gears and always get it into them, at least now, which before I was struggling to even get in the first gear most of the time. I had to shut it off, put it in the first gear, and then start it again to actually get into gear. So I'm glad that's fixed. I think the clutch pedal is bent to the side pretty bad, which could cause a lot of those problems. But really, otherwise, the truck drives fine. It's actually kind of fun to take her on the back roads, because people got upset at me about whenever I made the video of why this makes a perfect, or the Ford Ranger makes a perfect first car. Well, I said, I compared it to a 4-cylinder Mustang, like a Fox body Mustang, and people got really upset. So it still feels like a 4-cylinder Mustang to me. After driving the Fox body, especially, even though I had the 5.0 one that I drove, it was still kind of comparable, just this is a longer wheelbase pretty much. The suspension's not really that much different, honestly. And the suspension isn't bad for going around corners and whatnot either. It's surprisingly stable. It doesn't have much body roll at all. Probably because the springs are so hard. Because I mean, towing with it wasn't really that great of an experience. If you remember the video that I did that a while ago, if not, you can watch it. It's probably 6 months old now by now. But I tried to tow a 4-wheeler with this, and it was just like the stiffest rear suspension you could possibly imagine. Like, every single bump got translated all the way up to the driver's seat. So it's not the greatest at towing, but that's why I never really wanted to tow it with it after that. Plus I didn't really have a trailer hitch or anything like that. But I'd rather get like a full size, like a 1500 at least, to do something like that. But really, for 197,000 miles, it's held up fairly well. The interior's held up extremely well. I'm surprised at how good it is. The only reason it's not perfect is because I've spilled crap on it. Sorry, I got very distracted by that cop that I just drove by. I wasn't expecting to see a cop on this road. Luckily, I was going like 35 and a 45, so it's okay. But the interior's fine. These floor mats are still holding up well that I bought, or not bought, but I got from my work a while ago. And yeah, it's not half bad, so I think the next owner will enjoy it fairly well, especially if they can figure out what that computer issue is, or the injector issue or whatever. I'm just tired of dealing with it, and tired of trying to fix it and spending money on it. So I'd rather buy a car that I didn't really need to spend much money on. Like, I need a timing belt and tires for the Lexus, and that's really it that I need to buy per se. But with this, there's a lot of things that I would need to buy before I can really take it on the kind of road trips I want. Especially because the Lexus has working AC, this doesn't. Lexus has cruise control, this doesn't. Lexus is comfortable with leather seats, this doesn't have leather seats and isn't very comfortable. So, I don't know, I think I upgraded pretty well, especially for the price I spent on the Lexus. Anyways, that will conclude this little review portion of the video. I guess we'll go back to the tour. And so thank you all so much for watching this final video of my 1998 Ford Ranger XLT. Sadly, this is the end of an era, but the beginning of a new one, so expect lots more LS400 stuff in the future, and other shenanigans with the Chrysler and all that stuff. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'm out of here. See ya.